Alright guys, new info came out. We now have brand new kit updates for the 1.6 S rank characters. In this video, I'm gonna briefly tell you guys of all the changes for both the S rank Anby and the S rank trigger that were made for this week in the 1.6 beta. These are massive new changes compared to my previous kit breakdown video, so we will go over everything kit related for the new upcoming characters, and we also have an update on the new disk drive set that is going to come out in the 1.6 update as well, so we'll take a look at that after checking out the new kit changes. And if you guys want more update videos like this one, like the video, subscribe if you haven't already, and also put those notifications on to be updated right away. But alright, let's not waste any time and get right into it and talk about the new kit changes for the upcoming characters. Starting off with the new S rank Anby changes, this here is going to be a quick summary of all her changes that were made this week. So for the first thing to note is that there are no multiplier changes, but we can expect that at a later date. Now we have basic attack string receive one more attack from 4 to 5. So Anby now does a 5-hit combo with her normal attack, and on top of that, the new 5th basic attack has the same multiplier and charge generation as the 4th basic attack. In addition, after consuming 3 marks in a row, which is basically doing 3 dashes on an enemy in a row, she will do a additional instance of additional damage, which has a multiplier stated to be 448.6% damage and a 287% daze at level 12. And on top of that, additional ability now grants additional plus 10% crit rate on top of what she did before. So far, this is looking really good for Anby. They've buffed her a lot, adding a extra basic attack chain, as well as giving her more damage and crit rate built in her kit already, which will help a lot when building her. So really good buffs, and real quick, I'm going to go over the mindscapes for Anby as well, because we do have new changes, and they are very different compared to the last video. So I'm going to go over these real quick, and then we can check out the new trigger kit details. Starting off with her mindscape 1, we have fast charging mode, critical hit rate increased by 20%, and after launching the finishing move, she'll gain 6 layers of lightning, and then when she does her special skill with this lightning stack, it will consume lightning when hitting the enemy, which will give her white thunder, and each consumption of lightning will trigger 1 white thunder damage, but we don't have the multipliers for that yet. Moving on to the mindscape 2 called accurate discharge, the additional attack damage caused by Anby is increased by 40%, and when enhanced special and finishing move hit the enemy, up to 3 additional white thunder damage will be triggered without consuming the white thunder layer. And then we have the mindscape 4 changes, charge conduction. The damage dealt by Anby with the silver star move ignores the target's 15% resistance to electric damage. And lastly, the mindscape 6 changes, charging electric field. Every time Anby consumes 6 layers of white thunder, she will trigger an electromagnetic vortex causing additional 1800% attack damage of electricity attribute to the target and surrounding enemies. This damage is also regarded as launching an additional attack. Alright, so went over all the new S rank Anby changes. She's looking real good. They buffed her by quite a lot. Now let's take a look at all the new S rank trigger changes, because compared to my last video, these changes are very different. It's basically a completely different kit. So let's go over it, guys. So the first thing is the sniper point system was removed, no longer a thing. She now uses something called desperate point and cooperative state system. So we'll see what that does later on. She gains 25 desperate points when performing the final shot in sniping mode. It also says it seems to no longer have any minimum attack count required like before. A quick assist to next unit is triggered after performing the final shot in crouching sniper mode. Now we have some multiplier changes for the crouching sniper mode. The damage multiplier went from 115% to 96%, and the daze multiplier went from 54% to 45.2%. So a little nerf on the crouching sniper mode, but it's nothing too crazy. And next up we have when trigger is off field and has the desperate points, she will consume 5 points and perform her additional attack. When the on-field character uses a EX special attack, assist follow-up, or an ultimate, this can occur twice every 8 seconds. These additional attacks have high interrupt level. They staggers enemy easily. So yeah, very different from before, because previously she had the sniping point system. And now also when Trigger is off field and she has the Desperate Points, she can consume free points and perform her additional attack. When the on-field character uses a normal attack, dodge, counterattack, special, quick assist, this can occur twice every 3 seconds. So very interesting here, even the basic attack and the dodge, the counterattack will be able to activate her additional attack at the cost of less points, so it might be less powerful. But I can see that being pretty crazy. She's going to be spamming additional attacks left and right. We also have multiplier changes on the additional attacks, which are now 156.2% damage and 65.2% days. Previously, this was at 144 and 90 days. So less days, but more damage. Well, I'll take it. Next up is the cooperative state. What is this state? Well, in the cooperative state, any attack triggers additional attack with no cooldown. Okay, so no cooldowns. She's going to be able to spam the additional attacks. And then when Trigger uses her EX special, she then enters the cooperative state for 6 seconds and can trigger 8 additional attacks without spending Desperate Points. The state ends when the duration ends or all free attacks are used. Pretty interesting. And also when Trigger uses her ultimate, she enters the cooperative state as well, but this time for 10 seconds, and then she can trigger 12 additional attacks without spending Desperate Points. The state ends when the duration ends, or simply when you use up all the attacks. Alright, so now we're at the last set of changes for Trigger. So we got some changes to her ult. Her ultimate damage and days, basically a minus 3% buff, so nothing too crazy there. And then her additional ability now requires attack class or same attribute electric, which I believe was the same thing as we saw before. And lastly, we have her additional ability changes. No longer gains 10% crit rate in her additional ability, and the scaling changed as well. For increased days percentage on the additional attacks, it changed from 1.3% for every point of crit rate above 40% to a maximum of 65% increased days of 90% crit rate. Alright, so this is all the new Trigger kit changes. Overall, I'd say this is looking much better than my previous kit breakdown on Trigger. It's like a completely different kit, but this time it's a lot more clear. And also, she's looking to be like an additional attack monster. She's going to be spamming snipes off field all the time, which is going to be really interesting. And now moving on to the last part of the video, I'm just going to go over real quick the new disk drive changes, because I believe we have some new multiplier changes, or they changed something for the 2 upcoming disk drive sets for the 1.6 update. So going over the first one, Shadow Companion, the 2-piece set seems to be the same as before. Additional attack and dash attack damage increased by 15%. The 4-piece, however, got some changes. When additional attack or dash attack hits an enemy, the users gain 1 stack of buff effect. Each stack increased the user's attack by and went from 3 to 4%, and crit rate by 4%, lasting for 15 seconds. Previously was 20 seconds. And now it can only stack to 3 times, but I would say this is better because you can get the full attack buff quicker with only 3 stacks instead of going up to 4. But I guess the only nerf on this is going to be the uptime, as previously it was 20 seconds, now it's 15 seconds, so you'll be losing out on 5 seconds of these buffs. But overall, this should be really good for additional attack and dash attack characters. Most likely going to be the best sets for the new S ranks, Anby and Trigger. Now moving on here, we got Song of Papillon. The 2-piece has no changes. Now the 4-piece, the only thing that changed is the buff went from 6 to 8 seconds on the anomaly proficiency, and they removed the cooldown time. But yeah guys, these are all the new 1.6 beta changes for this week on the new characters and all the new disk drive sets. If you guys enjoyed, feel free to like and subscribe, put those notifications on. But that is all for this video. As always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.